Welcome to the Business Growth Podcast. Today I'm here with Bakary, the managing partner of True D Books. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Leonard. Appreciate it. I am glad to be here today and to talk to you.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit more. What do you guys do at True D Books?
Yeah, so maybe I'll start a little bit about my background and how Trudy Books came about.
Mhm.
So I started my career in public accounting with Deloitte in 2008. After 6 years, I switched from Deloitte to KPMG. Did 2 years with KPMG, and I moved to BDO. From BDO, I moved to Clark Nova, which is one of the largest regional CPA firms in Washington state. Did about almost close to 6 years with them, specialized in the nonprofit sector. And that kind of inspired the formation of Trolley Books, because all through my journey, I saw a lot of opportunities from different organizations um, that even though they want to get things right, but their financials are not telling the story that they need to tell. So came about with two other friends, and we said, you know what, why don't we build something that's going to focus on nonprofits, small businesses, and also minority-owned businesses.
Mhm.
Because it's organizations generally who cannot afford the services of the larger firms, but yet they have the same reporting requirements, or even more so the same compliance requirements with the bigger organizations.
Mhm.
So providing them that large firm kind of level expertise at an affordable and cheaper cost is some of the motivations that created Tory Books.
Yeah, nice. And what would you say is the main type of advice that you typically give to these business owners?
That's a great question. So as I said, we're focused on nonprofit, small businesses, and minority-owned businesses. Now, in the nonprofit sector, what we typically focus on is helping organizations enhance their governance structures, also helping them um, make their financials to speak the language and the vision that they envision in setting up those organizations.
Mhm.
So helping them tell the story that they're supposed to tell by presenting financial statements that are US GAAP compliant. If they have any donor reporting requirements, making sure that their reports kind of meet those standards as well.
Right. Okay. And how have you found the transition to go from working for someone else to running your own business?
That's a great question. I think the transition is, of course, challenging because leaving something that is guaranteed and something that I've been doing all
Yeah.
my life, and being an employee where you don't have to worry about paying salaries at the end of the month, just do the work and you know that your paycheck is gonna come.
Yeah.
From that to now setting up your own and worrying about cash flow, worrying about whether you'll be able to meet your commitments as they become due, and also just the need and the pressure to also network more and be able to grow the business because now it's your own and nobody's going to grow it for you other than yourself. But I think all those also present a lot of opportunities in terms of networking with folks, with organizations that are doing great work,
Mhm.
and us as a CPA firm also leaving a legacy and helping them tell the stories that they want to tell. So there are both challenges, but there are also opportunities, and those opportunities, and of course the challenges keep me going on a daily basis because I know on a daily basis there is something that's going to keep my mind challenged, and that's going to keep me growing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I found something similar when I made my transition from Deloitte as well. And it really is you take the responsibility now of
Yeah,
putting the bread on the table. And where previously, when you work for someone else, you could just show up, you could
yeah,
be hungover, you could what play on the internet most of the day, not do much work, you still get paid. Whereas running
correct.
your own business, if you don't perform, you
Yeah,
don't get paid. essentially. And
Exactly.
that was also, which is also kind of cool because then it means so there is more risk, but there's also more reward of what you can make. Whereas you work for someone else, you're stuck with a couple of percent pay increase each year.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the right word. Yes. I
Yeah.
100% agree with that.
Mhm. And then so I know Trudy Books is still fairly new. I think it was about 5 months you started ago. How has that gone so far? About how many clients have you helped so far? How has it been?
Yeah, so yeah, we started in January. But I came in full time July 1st.
Okay. Yeah.
And since then, what we've been working on is I'll break that down into a couple of things. One is catch-up bookkeeping or accounting. So a lot of organizations that come to us are organizations who are way behind on their books. So probably waiting until the opportunity presents for them to show their entire financials for 3 years because they're seeking whether it's loan funding or federal or state funding. And now they all of a sudden they came to realize, you know what, you know, our books are not in a state where we can access these funds, so we need to catch up, right? So that's one thing that we've been doing. Another thing is just correcting work. We recently wrote an article about some of the lessons that we've learned from preparing client 990 returns. A number of those returns we had to redo. We had to amend the returns um, because one, for example, if you go to the governance section, the questions weren't answered correctly, or they weren't answered in collaboration or in consultation with the board of directors.
Mhm.
Um, so so things like that, or they have numbers in there that are definitely not supported. You look at their accounting records, there's no way you can support those numbers. So redoing that work, doing the catch-up bookkeeping, redoing their books, and then amending their tax returns. So really doing cleanup for this organization. And the third part is capacity building training. So lately, we've also been engaged by different organizations to train either organizations that they're preparing for funding or just organizations trying to kind of build their capacity and make sure their internal teams um, are in a good position to be able to enforce their internal controls.
Mhm.
So that's what I would kind of summarize what we are currently working on.
Yeah, right. And I remember what you mentioned last time as well in terms of checking the accuracy of your books. You had one client, they had double counted
Yeah,
their revenue, and as a result, taxes was super overstated. And then
correct.
you came in, you fixed it, and then you were able to get them, I think it was a $2 million loan.
That that's correct. So that's one nonprofit that came to us, and I was going to come to that. They were seeking loan funding, but when they presented their books to the funder, they were not
Mhm.
loan ready. So they were directed to us or they were referred to us. And when we looked at their books, what they wanted us to do was to take their beginning balances from their tax returns and
Mhm.
bill their current accounts from that. So with our auditor mindset, we weren't very comfortable with those because we couldn't even support those beginning balances. So you've said what I think it's better that we go back since you have QuickBooks and you have those records. As it turned out, in QuickBooks, they had 3 years of uncategorized transactions.
Mhm.
They weren't tracking their net assets and their revenues between restricted and unrestricted, or in other words, using the correct terminology or the gap terminology with or without donor restrictions, which is extremely important for nonprofit reporting. If you
Mhm.
look at the expenses, also the one presenting their functional expenses. So they have expenses by class, but they weren't showing the expenses by category, by function. So let's say program expenses, management and general expenses. And all these
Mhm.
are required to be presented on the 990 returns. So we went back 3 years, categorized all those transactions, got their books ready for 23 and 24. And guess what? When we went back to their 990 return, the revenues were double counted based on if you compare those against the amounts that we had in QuickBooks after we had completed their books. The assets
Mhm.
were significantly overstated. So we went back to the client. He said, these are the numbers that you presented on your 990, but these are the numbers that your books are supporting, your bank statement is supporting. So advice would be to amend your tax return. So we kind of help them amend their 23 and 24 tax returns. We prepared gap compliant financial statements for them for 23 and 24. And guess what?
Mhm.
The lender approved them for a $2 million
Mhm.
property loan.
Nice. Yeah, that's a really awesome story. And I imagine they must have been pretty happy in terms of the tax savings as well,
Absolutely.
going from half of what it previously was. And then so in terms of like Trudy Books, what would you say is like working really well for you guys at the moment in terms of things that you're doing? And then how about one thing that is not working as well as what you would like?
That's a that's a great question. So I would say what is working well for us um, is when these clients come, they come with a lot of expectations, given our experience and our expertise in this area.
Yeah.
Now, helping them, for example, cut through all these challenge and getting them ready for lender ready financials and also securing, for example, a $2 million loan. I mean, that is significant because there's so much they can do. And most of these organizations are doing great work in the communities that they serve. So having that additional capital kind of gives them the impetus to be able to scale their operations and be able to touch more lives. So that I would say has been working extremely well for us, to be honest. The other thing that's been also working very well for us is the referrals. So our existing
Uh-huh.
clients that we work with, we provide superior or excellent service to them, our responsiveness, second to none, and they're extremely happy. They weren't getting that from their previous service providers. So because of that kind of experience, they spread the word and they tell their
Mhm.
contacts, their connections that Trudy Books is there. They do great service. And through those referrals, we get new clients coming, joining Trudy Books, whether it's for accounting, bookkeeping, or tax, or even audit services.
Uh-huh.
Now, in terms of what has not been working well, that's a great question. But I will say number one is the culture of fire drills. So most of the time when clients that I mentioned come to us, they are they are working with urgency because they want to secure that financing, right? The lender
Mhm.
has already started the process. Now they need to clean their books quickly, amend their tax returns, and submit those returns. So the problem that we face is when clients like that come, they expect that you should drop everything at that point and just focus on their assignment and just get it done for them, right? And of course, there is an opportunity cost to that. So if I leave whatever else I'm doing and I focus on yours because it's urgent, well, I'm also sacrificing other client work, right? That's also paying me. So managing those priorities, it's always a challenge.
Yeah.
So we try to give clients, and these are things that we are learning as we go. We say, you know what, when you come to us with that, we give you, let's say, a 5 or 6 weeks turnaround time,
Mhm.
knowing that we are going to keep to that promise, but it's just cannot be you come to us today and you expect us to drop everything and just start working on yours because it's urgent. So
Right.
that's one that's been a challenge. Number two, our clients sometimes even though they appreciate the service that we provide, but sometimes they don't appreciate the value that consistent accounting or bookkeeping gives. So they would rather wait until an urgency or an opportunity presents for them to put all their books together rather than having an ongoing bookkeeping or accounting service that's going to
Yeah.
get you ready every time you need those financials. So that's another challenge. And then lastly, it's just the pricing factor. Of course, we sell time, right? A lot of organizations would be willing to spend a lot of money on other things, but when it comes to accounting, bookkeeping, tax, or audit, they think it's just peanuts, right? It's just something that doesn't add that much value, so there's not much cost
Yeah.
implications. But kind of orienting them and making them understand that these are value provided services that don't come
Mhm.
easy, right? Even though our prices are affordable, but there's also a cost to it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, gotcha. I love that. And then so you said one thing that's working well is the referrals from clients. I'm
Yeah.
curious, do you have like a referral program or anything, or is it more just you do a good job and then they just tell someone else about it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the latter is true. For most of the clients, our experience with them and our interaction kind of sells
Okay.
our services to them, so they would just
Yeah.
kind of sell us to others. But we also have some partnership or collaboration arrangements with some organizations and some
Hmm.
financial institutions
Hmm.
that because of their experience with us, they have chosen us as their preferred service provider when it comes to CPA services. So when
Hmm.
organizations come to them for loans,
Right.
they usually recommend them to come to us to help them with their books because one, we understand their reporting requirements.
Yeah.
Sometimes their unique reporting requirements or
Hmm.
even terminology that we are familiar with. So they would recommend those clients to come to us, and most of the time they would come to us. But there's
Mm.
no obligation for them to oblige
Okay.
that referral.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So no like formal referral type of thing that you do in your business. It's more just good product sells
Yeah,
itself type of thing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And in fact, recently I read an article that said this is the experience of pretty much all the businesses across, about 80% of their new work comes from referrals.
Mm.
And I think that holds true even in my experience with the other firms that I've worked with.
Yeah, yeah, that's generally what I've seen as well from all the accounting business owners that I've spoken with.
Yeah,
And then yeah, like what you said, like the product sells itself is so
yeah,
true. And
hmm
it's really interesting because like say like I've tried a couple of new like food things from like a
hmm
shop. Like I tried this new protein bar and
yeah,
I'm eating it and it was just so bad. And I'm
yeah,
just thinking, how the hell is this business gonna succeed if their product is so bad? They can have the best marketing, they can do the best sales, everything. But then when the person gets the product, it's so bad, they're going to tell
yeah,
other people not to even buy the product. Like
yeah,
it was that bad. And it's like if they just got that one thing right, you get the product right,
yeah,
then I imagine everything else becomes a lot easier, similar to it sounds like what you guys are doing.
absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah.
100% agree with that. And that's what I tell
Mhm.
people. Even if you're not very good at networking and marketing, just do a good quality service and
Mm.
also
Yeah.
be there for your clients, be responsive, right? Those things are enough to sell you to potential new clients.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I know it's starting to run out of time here, so
Yeah.
let's finish on what is like what was I gonna say the what is next for you guys? What's like the next couple of months look like?
So for us, the next couple of months is scaling up.
Mhm.
Um, we want to increase our footprint in the market,
Mhm.
and we are doing that through engagements in terms of trainings, capacity building, helping organizations that are doing great work in the community. Sometimes we even provide pro bono services to some of those organizations, especially if they're struggling, because we wanna be able to leave a footprint. It's not just money that's driving us, but we have other
Mhm.
qualitative factors that we also look at. So of course, yeah, scaling up our operations, um, increasing our team size to be able to attract a lot more quality and experienced folks in our team,
Mhm.
and just continuing to help and make an impact in the communities where we operate.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, sounds like lots of things. Sounds like you're doing some good work.
Yeah.
It's been great having you on the show. Where can people go to find a little bit more about what you guys do?
Thank you, Leonard. Well, we have a website and it's called www.truthybooks.org. I'm also very active on LinkedIn. You can find me, and my handle is Bakary B Sanneh. CFE. So you can look me up on LinkedIn. You can email me directly at bsanneh@truthybooks.org. Our team is very responsive, so we take that very seriously. If you reach out to us, we will definitely get back to you within the shortest possible time.
Mhm. Awesome. Well, it's been great having you on the show. You guys have been listening to the Business Growth Podcast. Until next time, keep growing.